You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Hark the bells ring out so clear. Safety Claus is coming near. With a bag of hard hats bright, he brings peace to every sight. Checks the harness, checks the gear, spreads the cheer without the fear. Guide the workers through the night, makes their task a pure delight. Safety Claus, brings us peace without a pause. Safety.
And from the border of liberty and prosperity and the highway to the north, it's Safety Wars for Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. How's everybody doing? If you like our holiday music, we will have little bits of holiday music. Safety thrown in. Oh yeah. We have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We've been off the air for a couple of days, but that's okay. We want to give you quality, not quantity. And, if Jay Allen is out there, yes, we are working on a lot of the stuff we're talking about. But anyway, now, just ideas on how to improve the program, things of that nature. Nothing, nefarious. But anyway, how's everybody doing? It is the holiday season. As you see, we got the snowman to my right, Christmas tree to the left, and me in the middle. A lot going on here. So, some of the stuff we're doing, we're going to be getting into, and I think everybody knows I'm a political animal on a lot of stuff. And since things are shaking out since the election here, things have calmed down a little bit. So I don't think they're going to calm down. With the 2026 election and 2028 election, a lot of people are not going to did not get over a lot of this stuff here. I mean, a lot of my friends have left social media. No, they're not blocking me. I got blocked. How do you know they're just not blocking? No, they're not blocking. They just, and I receive notes and messages, no, you just leave it. And what do you gotta remember? Don't believe your own propaganda. Number one. And that goes for either side. I have been on the winning side, I've been on the losing side, I've been on the I don't like anyone's side. I've been on all sides of this. And what you have to remember, don't believe your own propaganda. Right? Part of politics is a manipulation game. Part of the, which is why people don't like it. Part of politics is also getting your message out. Part of it is educating the voter. Part of it is a lot of stuff. A lot goes into it. I mean, all skills go in there. Go into politics. And practicing politics and running elections and everything else. So, what am I saying? I think both sides here have a problem believing these narratives that are out here. You have the Biden people here, and they're, I'll call them the loyal opposition, well-intentioned people and everything else, that they were under the impression that they were going to win the election. And it was going to be overwhelming. It was going to be easier. We even have one story here where the President-elect Trump is suing somebody in Iowa, a news organization, because for election tampering, because they came out with a poll that said he's going to lose Iowa by 13 points. I don't think that's going to go anywhere because it's a freedom of speech issue, right? And we do have, freedom of speech is a safety issue. Here with this. What do you mean? Well, I mean, we have threats to our freedom of speech. Canada, big major pushback up there with Prime Minister Trudeau and everything else, where there's allegedly a no confidence vote type of thing going on. He may have to go for early elections here sometime in January or February because during COVID and that reaction, freedom of speech issues going on there. Canceling out people's bank accounts, hamstringing them so they can't move, can't do anything because you weren't towing the official line. So you see pushback here. In our own country, what do we have? We have, and I see this from a lot of pro-life people, and I'm not going to go into abortion here. No, relax. Everybody calm down. But there were something like 10 ballot initiatives or 9 ballot initiatives in this country concerning abortion since the overturn of Roe versus Wade in the last election cycle here. 7 out of the 9 were overturned. So I see a lot of pro-life people very upset because they feel that they lost the culture war on that, right? I see a lot of... So this election goes both ways here. We see a lot of people on the right upset with, they won, the Republicans won and everything, but they're upset with a lot of the cabinet choices. The Heartland Institute came out with let me see. I know I get into things that I'm not prepared for all the time. So I know with the Heartland Institute, they came out with reports on socialism, right? And they come out with this report virtually after every election or something similar to it on socialism and communism, and where the candidates running and some what their thing, right? What's the word I'm looking for? What kind of progress that they were making in this country, right? So over the last election. So here, hold on. Let me get that. I'm sure James Taylor won't mind us. Friend of the program will not mind us looking this up, right? We'll give them a little plug. I mean, they do listen. I mean, with this stuff, I can't find it, but anyway, there was an advancement of socialism and how it was. So, they're complaining over that, and people are complaining over this. There's a lot to complain about. There's a lot to be positive of. One, it's over. We could maybe try to repair some of our relationships and everything where we can with that. Now, so we're going to be covering a lot more politics in the upcoming elections and everything because this is what happens. We are on what is called a 4-year cycle for elections in the United States. So we have 2 off-year elections. That is New Jersey, Virginia, and I believe Kentucky is the 3 of them. Definitely 2 with everything else. So preferably what has to happen, I'm going to be up front. You have to go 4-year cycle. Year 1, you educate the voter. And as everyone knows, I do voter education a lot of voter education. And we're going to be expanding that as we go along here in this election cycle. So first year, educate. Second year, educate midterm elections. And you see how your organization is functioning, that you hopefully built up in year 1. And then year 3 is going to be educate, recruit, and find out what's going on and start getting involved in campaigns. And year number four is get out the vote. If you're relying on the mainstream media, which basically they're the big losers in this election here, in my opinion, if you're going to rely on them for your information, you're going to not get the information you want, because as we know here, with what we do here, the stories that we present, that we cover here, are 2, maybe 3 days ahead of what the mainstream media is. Now you're going to say, well, Jim, what do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, number 1, the PPE Standard recently. Last week it came out. Well, no, 2 weeks ago it came out. First organization to do it was here. Cover it right here. Number 2, linking the marine traffic with these drone sightings in New Jersey. Number 2, we did it 2 days ahead of everybody else, right? Number 3, fake COVID cards during the COVID-19. That was our first big thing ahead. Me and Jay Allen, 2 months ahead of everybody else on that, with that. So you're hearing a lot of the information first. And if you could get the information out there first, your chances are you're going to have a positive impact however you want it to go. Number 1. Number 2, we try to be neutral here on our coverage and state matter of fact, and we use government documents and things of that nature. So we do all of this stuff you want first. We're the first. A lot of these press releases, we covered here first. So come in, listen to the program and everything else. I'll make a promo out of this. Now, what's going on out there? A lot of stuff here. And let's go. We haven't used it recently. Hold on. Ukraine says it killed senior Russian general in Moscow scooter bombing. Igor Kirillov is suspected by Ukraine of ordering the use of banned chemical weapons. Wow. Ukraine carried out one of its most audacious operations on Russian soil early Thursday, killing the commander of the unit designed to protect Russian troops from chemical, radiological, and biological attack by blowing up a scooter on the snowy streets of Moscow. Lieutenant General Igor Kirilov is the most senior commander to be killed in the heart of Russian capital since the start of the war. Head of the Russian Armed Forces Radiological, Chemical, Biological Defense Troops, Kirilov was killed outside a residential building along with his assistant, and Ukraine is taking credit for this. Boom. So this is like that movie Patriot, right? The Patriot. Here. Okay. They have pictures of it here. We're not allowed to share. Bulletproof plastic. This is along the lines of, if you ever saw Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, was it? The Search for 3, where they go back to 1980s San Francisco and they create transparent aluminum, right? With this here. Yeah, it was Star Trek 3. But I'm remiss. I'm sorry, Star Trek folks. When you think of plastic, you may picture flimsy shopping bags or disposable water bottles, or the things that you're not allowed to use in New York, the shopping bags. But there's a special type of plastic that's so tough it can stop bullets, replace worn-out hip joints, and create ropes stronger than steel cables. The catch, it's incredibly difficult to shape and mold. Scientists at the University of Oxford have developed new ways to process this material, and hey, it's going to be a breakthrough. We'll see where that goes. I wonder if they could make it transparent here. Now, this is a thing here where Donald Trump, President-elect Trump, said that he was... I'm drawing a small inference here, like all the other commentators, where the government knows what this stuff is, and it's what these drones are. So this past weekend at church, we learned that over the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, there are drones flying over it or near it. You say, well, Jimmy, what do you mean? How do you know that? Why did you do that at church? I live right south of West Point, and a lot of our church members are from that area, and they reported seeing them over West Point. Now, I have my own theory I'm going to share right here, and it will be a Safety Wars exclusive here. So, missing radioactive material. This is out of the New York Post. In New Jersey, sparks drone theories. They're looking for something, a mayor says. Mayor Michael Melham of Belleville said the drones flying in a grid-like pattern over Essex County Township appeared to be looking for something. Holy crap, who said that last Thursday? I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. It's in a grid-like pattern, but now, I'm thinking of it. Let's say, and there's rumored to be radiation detectors here on this stuff, and people are blaming health issues like this, sort of like that Cuba, over in Cuba, Havana syndrome over there with Americans claiming all different illnesses because of the drones. My opinion, what does this look like to Jimmy from Safety Wars? This is what it looks like to me. They're going out in a grid-like pattern. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to share this only because it is relevant here, and we're going to comment on this. All right, so share screen. Let's look at the marine traffic tonight. All right, so here we have the marine traffic off of New Jersey. Let's see what ships are out there today. We have the Global Leader, which is a car carrier. We have Liberty Island, which is a dredger. Mary J., a fishing boat of some sort. Okay, we have another fishing boat, another tugboat. Okay, we got some larger ships here. Car carrier, Zeus Leader. Hello out there if you're listening. Another, I'm not sure what kind of ship this is. Some kind of cargo ship. Right? And a pilot ship. and the SSI Marvelous, which is another cargo ship of some sort out here. Let's go back here. Come on. And we have basically another tugboat. I've seen this on Martin Explorer. I have seen that out there. Yes, I grew up in Woodbridge, so we see a lot of tugboats. And here we have another cargo container carrier. So what's my point here? We're going through this, and guess what? Another website went off of this stuff. I'm not seeing any ships out here that are in normal marine traffic that are doing this. So this indicates to me this is likely a military type situation. Now, I said last week that it's obvious that they are looking for something, at least to me. Now, there are also reports that they have radiological detectors on there. Now, okay, let's say that I was looking for radiation. First of all, I don't know that the radiation is going to be detected from several hundred feet up. It's got to be a hell of a lot of radiation. Got to have stuff coming off it, gamma rays and stuff coming off it and everything. I don't know if that's able to be recorded at these heights. But perhaps, I'm only saying perhaps, if this is true that they have radiation detectors and other stuff going off, when would you want to use that stuff? My experience with radiation detectors, probably when the sun goes down and there's no light to interfere with them, maybe, right? Perhaps, right? So you're eliminating a lot of stuff from the thing in the sky called the sun. I know we didn't see it for like 4 days last week. It sucked. No, you also want to set up what are called background readings, right? So you want to take background readings and find out what's out there. So then later on, when you go back, you're now able to determine what the background readings are. Now these are the other readings, right? It's like a calibration sort of thing. Or I think that they're trying to surveil the area. It's obvious that there's a grid pattern based on what I'm seeing here with the reports and everything else, and like that one mayor had just said. I don't know how effective that's going to be from the air. I don't know. Because after 9/11, they put up ground-level detectors around all major egresses and ingresses into New York City and many other suburban centers here. So we'll see what happens there with that. I don't know. President Trump has said that, obviously, I think has been briefed on a lot of this stuff. And since he's briefed on a lot of this stuff, he basically said he's not answering questions, number one. And number two, he's not, the government knows what they are. Joe Biden knows. And he's asking for more transparency. We'll see how he does with transparency next month. Because if this goes on, this secrecy I'm not a fan of. You better have a very good reason for it. New Jersey governor urges state to calm down as FBI looks into drone mysteries. So Governor Murphy has asked residents in the state plagued with unexplained drone sighting to calm down. Explain to me when telling someone to calm down has ever helped. No. Okay, they're out there looking at this. Now, what I find is happening, and this again was what's the word I'm looking for? So in the 1990s, we had a coyote hunt in New Jersey, and they were estimated the coyotes to be like 2,000 in South Jersey, and they only culled one. The hunters only got one. It turns out that the one coyote was reported like 2,000 times. Similar thing is going on here, where people are reporting anything, like, they're in the flight path of Newark Airport, they're reporting these big drones, It's like, come on, guys, through here with that. So is it multiple reports of the same drones? Is it a multiple different types of drones, and all that. So the reporting is like not good here. You don't have one person or one organization reporting on all this stuff, and there's causing confusion. So I don't know how. Right? They said that the FBI said 3,000 sightings. Yeah, it may be 1,000 sightings because people are multiple reporting things right on that. So this is out of Reuters. Many of the reported drone sightings that have gripped the U.S. appear to be commercial, hobby, and law enforcement drones, as well as aircraft or stars. Fewer of the 100 of the more than 5,000 reported sightings in New Jersey and northern eastern U.S. states merit investigations, according to the DOD, Homeland Security, FBI, and FAA. Okay, with that, I wish they would just be upfront. Maybe they're with that. Maybe they can't do that. So we're going to go to our first commercial break here, and we're going to cut out again with some of our Christmas music.
Jingle bells and mistletoe, silent night and falling snow. But my wish list ain't the same. Listen close to what I claim. Cookies, milk under the tree, carolers singing merrily. But my heart's got one request: keep me safe, it's my quest. All I want for Christmas time is some PPE that fits just fine. Wrap it up nice under the pine. Oh, so grateful, it's mine, all mine.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Pozell with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
Have you listened or watched the Safety War Show? It does stream live on the radio and on the streamer-emers that we have. So if you have not taken a listen to Jim Bolzel and what the hell he's doing every evening with Safety Wars, I would strongly encourage you to take a view or take a listen, whichever option is available for you, and take a listen to what the hell he has going on. It will take some deep dives and some information that you might be interested in.
OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy.
Yes, Jessica, I am your father. Okay, we're going to revisit this here. Did you like the music on PPE? All she wants for Christmas is PPE that fits. I couldn't resist. Right? So this last week, OSHA came out with its final thing with the PPE Standard. I did a little bit of a deep dive on here. It's going to take effect next month. So if you are in construction, you're going to need to be in compliance. And I have a struggle trying to understand why you would buy PPE that doesn't fit. I know how it happens. What happens is poor planning. Procurement people who are, and again, on one of our old podcasts, what did I always say? Those procurement people are the one group of people that I can count on 2 fingers the amount of times I've seen them in safety training with the pure procurement people. And a lot of times, especially if it's a small business, what don't they do? A lot of these folks, there's a million things to do. They don't have time to do stuff. So they don't plan this out. Well, we have a female coming on. Guess what? We need smaller things typically. Or we have a smaller person coming on. We need to plan things out. Or they get a subcontractor. Sometimes then the prime contractor is in charge of PPE. They're not told about anything because the subcontractor doesn't want to go and say, hey, I need this special equipment, blah, blah, blah. Now, my experience states that it takes roughly 2 weeks if you need a special order to get some of this stuff. By the time you order it, by the time you get it. That's why roughly 2 months ago today, October 17th, I told everybody, go out, do your, see what you're going to need as far as PPE and protective gear and outerwear for the winter, right? So you can get it early and you're not going to cut caught short. Because I tell you, last week in New York with that cold snap, there wasn't anything available, right? People were in a panic. So here I am going over the press release and everything else. So how are we doing this here, right? So OSHA's PPE requirements. All right. OSHA, Section 6B7 of the OSHA Act of 1970, or 29 U.S.C. U.S. Code 655B7, authorizes OSHA to include requirements for protective equipment within its safety and health standards. Employees wear PPE to minimize exposure to hazards and everything else, right? So you have to do that. And let's remember, PPE is the last line of defense, not the first line of defense on the hierarchy of controls. These injuries and illnesses result from contact with chemical, radiological, physical, electrical, or mechanical, or other hazards that include all the PPE that you would normally deal with. There are standards in general industry, shipyard, marine terminals, longshoring, and now construction dealing with PPE. With few exceptions, OSHA requires employers to pay for PPE when it is used to comply with OSHA standard. In addition to PPE standards for general industry and shipyard employment, includes a specific requirement that employers select PPE that fits each affected employee. And we're going on, right? And OSHA Standard 29 CFR 1926 sets out requirements of PPE in construction with that, and that's where the change is going to be. So now, let's talk about rulemaking. We all know that it takes years, over a decade, to issue a new regulation. I think that is something that the new administration should be looking at here. Why is it taking so long? With common sense, I mean, this is common sense here. And again, people could, these companies could have been cited under the general duty clause, I guess, and some other stuff of not issuing proper PPE because what proper mean, got to fit right. I get it. Here. However, a lot of companies don't do it. Believe me, I've gone through this. Where you have a smaller person, usually female, but not necessarily female, that might need pay. Oh, well, we're not going to get that. Or you may have it on the other end. I'm on the other end. Know how it is going to a hazardous waste site and they say, well, Jim's 6'4", 235 pounds. Yeah, back in the day. He could wear large Tyvek suits. And then you put it on and where's the first blowout? In the rear end. Right? In the legs. In the arms. You end up using a lot of chem tape and you rip the hair off of your arms with that. And all this other makeshift ways. Not good. But again, I didn't have the authority to do anything. I didn't with that. So it would take like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then by that time, most of these cleanups are done. 2 or 3 weeks later, and cleanup's done. But if I got on a longer-term job, guess what? They supply you with the right PPE. Hey, Jimmy's coming. Okay, let's get the right stuff. Blah, blah, blah. And my employer, who was responsible, Envirogenics, Jeff Olcott and Bob Kretviks, who were the owners, they made sure that I got PPE to get started and then ordered more as needed. So that's how it was managed with that. Now, here we have the rulemaking history. Section 2, Roman number 2B in this document. The Advisory Committee on Construction Safety and Health is a continuing advisory body established by statute that provides advice and assistance to the OSHA Assistant Secretary on construction standards, policy matters related to construction. The issue of proper PPE in construction was discussed at the meeting held on July 28th, 2011. So let's do 2011. All right, so this would be a good case study. If you are an OSHA outreach training person or with that, you may want to put this in there, right? This timeline. Then on December 16th, it was 13 years yesterday, and unanimously passed another motion recommending that OSHA consider using the SIP-4, right, meaning Standards Improvement Project, right, with that rulemaking to revise the construction standards to that requirement of PPE properly fit construction workers. On December 6th, 2013, OSHA issued, going on. Here, we had a little jump. And so then on December 6th, 2013, so now we're at 2013, they issued an RFI asking the public to identify, right, confusing outdated standards, right, and everything else. Okay, great. In response, several commentators, including the AFL-CIO and the International Safety Equipment Association, recommended that OSHA use the SIP-4 rulemaking to revise its construction. Okay, so now we're up to 2013. Based on stakeholders' suggestions on 2016, here we are, 2016, OSHA proposed revising 1926 95C, the construction PPE standard, include explicit requirements that PPE must be properly fit each affected employee in the preamble, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. And then they go on. Additionally, OSHA stated that clarifying the requirement will help ensure employers provide employees. OSHA received several comments specifically addressing the proposed revision, right? Some commentators fully supported the proposed revision while a coalition of construction stakeholders opposed it. And they go on. Based on comments received, now we're up to 2019. OSHA published the final rule in the Federal Register. The final rule did not include the proposed revision. Instead, OSHA determined that such a revision to the construction PPE standard should occur in a separate rulemaking outside the SIP process. Again, this is all on public record, folks. This right here was issued with this rule. And then they issued another one in 2019, a draft proposed rule, and then we're going to go on and on and on with that. Then they got comments there. And when was this, right? So the fit problem can also affect men. Okay, that's good. I just said that, right? Women in construction, right? OSHA also received a comment in support of proposed revision. State from Emmanuel O'Mikey, a safety professional, which included 2 studies addressing PPE and women in construction. All right. The comment noted several examples of PPE and with things. Sounds like, I tell you what, I'm gonna probably look this guy up and see what he says on this. If he's still in the business, I tell you what, because they extensively quote the guy here, which means the next time a rule comes out and you want to be part of the process, you can also comment on it. Maybe you'll make it and be memorialized in the record here. Something to think about. Imagine going for a job interview. Oh, yeah, look, I was quoted by OSHA for doing this. Would be a great thing. Right? And some people were opposed to it. Right? One group argued that the broad scope covers a wide variety of PPE situations that are not appreciated by the SIP 5 process, placing explicit requirements that employers must ensure that all types of construction PPE properly fits. All different size employees in all different situations will be a monumental task, which in many cases not necessarily will not improve safety. Okay, I'm going to call baloney on that. Pre-planning. Or what happens is that now what some organizations I work with have done is that they have an approved PPE list, and you go and you say, here is the job hazard analysis, this is the PPE. Now you call, let us know which one you want, or we're going to set up an account so you could go and figure that out. They also have PPE vending machines where you can choose the right size thing and everything else. Again, fitting people. I mean, this is not a big deal here for, especially for the smaller employee here, right? And I'm saying, I mean, none of this is really persuasive to me that this would be in here. And again, that would be difficult to comply with this. It really isn't with this. And again, people arguing that this was not the thing, didn't give fair notice during the SIP 5 proposal and going on. So now we're up to this. OSHA says this. OSHA's experience is that employers in general industries have had no issue understanding the phrase properly fits, right, in regard to PPE. Given limited purposes of SIP 5 to remove, revise outdated, duplicative, unnecessary, and inconsistency requirements, and OSHA safety and health standards, and the comments on the PPE revision described above, OSHA determined not to finalize revision in the SIP 4 rulemaking. Instead, OSHA conducted such a change to the PPE's construction standard should take place outside the SIP process, right? That was set up to do this. And then, lo and behold, 2023, July, they come out with a published personal protective equipment construction notice of proposed rulemaking. And now in 2025, it becomes a reality. So from start to finish of the process, it took 14 years. I know that there's procedures. I know that there's, they can't just come out like dictators and say things, but I'm sorry, I call baloney on the whole process. 14 years for this? Really? Maybe, perhaps, they need to have people in charge that are not attorneys and actually have done the work. Maybe that would be a smarter thing to do. I don't know. I'm not disparaging the current people, Doug Parker and all the folks in there that have worked so hard at OSHA, but 14 years is not acceptable to come out with a regulation that literally is like a 3-line regulation. 14 years? Does anybody have a problem with this? Really? Right? And then they go on to more things, right? Impact of improperly fitting PPE and the need for an explicit requirement. OSHA goes into that here also. Studies and reports, because they got to justify their decision. And if this gets litigated, which I think it will be litigated, they, with that. Let's go on down here. I highlighted some areas. OSHA received 2 comments that questioned the necessity of the proposed revision. One commentator stated that 1926.28a, the general requirement that PPE be worn in hazardous conditions on work sites, right? And another one made an irrelevant thing where you could tell that they didn't read this. They need some outreach training or something. The general industry standard is enough. Walt Kessler general industry doesn't apply to construction work, right? And OSHA said, look, and the general requirement for PPE in construction is inadequate because, as explained above, it is clear from the record that workers in the construction industry have struggled. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you there. You can look it up. And now, that people say, well, why don't we use construction standards? All right, whether the rule would effectuate the purpose of the OSHA Act. And if we run overtime, you can catch up on our podcast on your favorite podcast network as Safety Wars. Like and subscribe, or you can go to our Rumble page, which is in the comments here. But I'll give it to you. Rumble.com/user/Safety Wars. There. Now, why are we using Rumble? Rumble lets me go over to 2 hours. No problem here. I only got 1 hour on Safety FM and 1 hour on YouTube. But Rumble lets you go much, much longer, and so does X on there. You can check us out on X at Skylander52. My name, Jim Posel here. We're going to be working on changing that in the new year also, but I need to do that. All right, where the agency decides to depart from the requirements of a national consensus standard, it must explain why OSHA standard better effectuates the purposes on that. While there are many consensus standards that address PPE, there is no general consensus standard on PPE that incorporates a fit requirement. Instead, each standard focuses on a different type of equipment. For example, OSHA incorporates by reference the ANSI Z87.1 standard for occupational and educational personal eye and face devices, and ANSI Z89.1 for head protection into its construction standards. However, there are several other PPE consensus standards that address not only different types of PPE, but also different uses of that PPE, such as flame-resistant garments from NFPA 2113. Rather than adopting each PPE consensus standard and whatever language may include in proper fit, OSHA is revising its existing construction standard to make it clear that all types of PPE, right? So rather than have a patchwork, we're going to do it all together on that. Several commentators agreed that adopting the standard would be better. NIOSH also supported revisions like this. Were there any detractors on here that goes into that? They haven't said that. And going on, talking about people supporting it. Let's see. Has anyone... One commentator, however, was skeptical of using manufacturers' recommendations because manufacturers' instructions may not provide clear or accurate guidance on how to measure or just fit, especially for women's sizes and models. I guess that's a valid thing. OSHA believes that the manufacturer's instructions and recommendations can be an important source. Now, my question is this is what the problem is. Do the suppliers or the procurement people know about this stuff? How many times have we ordered PPE that ain't right? Seriously. Because, and this is and if you're working with a supplier that can't get it right, that's an issue too. On here, OSHA also requested a comment on whether there was any confusion about what properly fits means for PPE used in the construction industry. Right? With that. And they define that. With comfort, and I'm not going to belabor this here. So, some commentators suggested that it is inappropriate to align the language in the construction industry with general industry and shipyards because the construction industry is different from general industry and shipyards. A commentator argued that an important difference between construction industry and other industries is changing conditions in the work site. The construction industry does not operate in static, permanent work sites with known hazards that have long since identified and documented. I'm going to tell you this. There was another organization that made the same thing. I have yet, after 32 years of working in construction in various aspects, from labor to safety to environmental cleanup and everything else on here, I have never had a construction company have multiple types of gloves. When you right, and the ones that have had it has been because nobody's in charge. Nobody's in charge, and with that, nobody knowledgeable is in charge. So what's the solution? Is to put somebody in charge that knows what they're doing and set up a procurement system to make sure that everybody is doing the same gloves and the same stuff, right? Economies of scale type thing. And if that can't happen, then you train your field people, like in the case of a mobile workforce, on what the appropriate gloves are and the approved gloves and the appropriate gloves and what you're looking for. So some training, again, training is along the lines of rules, right? Where you're along the lines. They're not very reliable, but maybe if you got be a little bit better organized with this, and that's one of the major things, you could do that. Now, of course, there are disaster scenarios where that's not going to be possible, like what went on in the Southeast and also up in during 9/11 and other major disasters. With that, so, and no, again, planning out, especially the harnesses. And OSHA explained that the enforcement of the requirement for the properly fitting PPE in construction will be the same as has been in general industry and maritime, relying on an enforcement guidance agency has already created for those industries, applying it to the construction industry. OSHA also provided citation data and examples of violations of the requirement to have properly fitting PPE with that, and other work sites. Here and anything else here? I'm going to scroll through this. I know it's driving you nuts out there, but I believe I have a couple of other areas highlighted here. I'm going to try to be using our, we have a document camera here in the future here with this. Now, although this rule is a clarification of employers' existing obligations, comments in the record suggest not all employers are currently meeting their obligation to provide their employees with properly fitting PPE. The agency expects this clarification will improve compliance and everything else with that. Again, with that, two benefits likely to result from requiring properly fitting PPE. The first type comes from avoidance of injuries, illnesses, and fatalities. And the other, people have reported injuries and things of that nature, right, from wearing improperly fitting things. It's been pretty well documented. However, it's more anecdotal in a way because it's hard to quantify this. And let's remember, it's sort of like what we deal with behavior-based safety, where people are not going to be completely candid, especially to regulatory agencies and insurance companies on what happened. They're going to tend to blame the employee. That's what it is. If you're an employer, do you want to admit guilt? Not necessarily. Sort of like when they issue these, I believe it's NTSB and Chemical Safety Board, CSB reports. What does it say in there? This is not to be used in a court of law with this stuff. So maybe, I'll just put it out there, they have to have some type of a thing with accident reports. Cannot be used in a court of law for people to report honestly on them. But I don't think that's going to happen. So forget I even said it, right? But I'll remind you later on. Additional benefits that could accrue to employees as a result of this rule include not being denied work, not being sent home without pay, and not having to pay for their own PPE. Right? With that. So I don't have the right PPE, Frank. See ya. So OSHA believes that this rule will result in health and safety benefits to workers. To do so, OSHA begins with the estimate that this final rule will impose annualized costs of about just shy of $900,000 a year for the industry. If OSHA were to monetize fatalities potentially avoided by this final rule, the analysis will use the DOT value of a statistical estimate. Again, these documents are great. They tell you how to do this. It would be an estimated $13.2 million for avoided fatality, value of a statistical life. That's the numbers that they use, and smarter people than me could go look at that. All right, and something I found very interesting here was this. Here, hold on. So state plans will have to eventually update that, and with that. Protecting children from environmental health and safety risks. Executive Order 13045, Protecting Children from Environmental Health and Safety Risks from 1997. This is a Bill Clinton issued executive order. And as amended later on, requires that federal agencies provide additional evaluation of economically significant regulatory actions that concern environmental health risk or safety risks that an agency has reason to believe may disproportionately affect children. As explained elsewhere in this preamble, OSHA has determined that this final rule is not an economically significant regulatory action. I guess not for $900,000 a year. In addition, this rule is intended to protect workers of all ages, and OSHA has no information that children comprise a disproportionate share of the affected workforce. To the extent older children are employed in the construction industry, this rule will have a protective effect on these older children. I don't think that children are excluded from a lot of different construction work out there, if memory serves me right. So we'll see how this goes here with everything. With that, so we're going to go to our next commercial break here. And
in a world where danger lurks in every corner, one man stands as a beacon of hope. Jim Posel, a veteran safety expert with over 3 decades of experience, now bringing his knowledge to you with Safety Wars. Engaging, informative, and always relevant. That's Safety Wars. Join the safety revolution with Safety Wars, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos.
I'm sure you've heard the news. Safety training is evolving, and you should be too. Outdated safety training isn't just boring, it's dangerous. If your safety trainer is still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety from 25 years ago, it's time for a change. Imagine safety training that actually addresses the hazards unique to your workplace. No more generic, one-size-fits-all solutions. The Safety Wars team at safetywars.com is here to revolutionize how you approach safety, with customized training that's relevant, engaging, and effective. Contact Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. Say goodbye to outdated safety training and hello to a safer, more productive environment. Visit safetywars.com now.
The bells ring out so clear, Safety Claus is coming near. With a bag of hard hats bright, he brings peace to every sight. Checks the harness, checks the gear, spreads the cheer without the fear. Guide the workers through the night, makes their task a pure delight. Safety Claus, brings us peace without a pause. Safety boots and signs so dear, keeps us safe throughout the year.
yes, Safety Claus. Now, we're going to go start our next story here. And for those of you on Safety FM, we're going to put our outro in the appropriate place. And then we're going to continue this. You can pick it up on our podcast portion of this program or on rumble.com at rumble.com/user/Safety Wars. With that. Now, we're going to run overtime here. Tomorrow night, we are likely not going to be on the air for Wednesday night. We'll try to get something out there on at least on Safety FM. We're not going to be there. So you can check back here. So on hour 2, we're going to be covering more politics than safety. U.S. Department of Labor finds safety failures by Marietta tree trimming contractor led to Arbor's electrocution. So this happened in May, where a tree service employee was fatally electrocuted when stabilizing line made contact with the residential power line when they were trimming lower branches of a 60-foot tree. And there was a proposed $29,035 in penalties here. And again, 15 days. If you go into the OSHA 3030 web podcast, they go into a phenomenal program this month on this. Protective equipment was not provided when necessary, not on this case, but on the 15-day thing. So no protective equipment here. Again, 1910-132, protective equipment was not provided. And, no ARC-rated personal protective equipment here. I'm surprised with that one. I don't think that most arborists would even know about that, to be honest with you. 1910.33, lines were not de-energized, $6,500 almost. Citation 1, item 2B. $0, conductive materials and equipment that were in contact with the employees' bodies were not handled in a manner that would prevent them from contacting exposed energized lines. And 16,000 unqualified person was working in an elevated position near overhead lines, voltages rated at 50 kV or above. On this, and citation 1, item 2, other than serious, no HAZCOM program. So that's what the story is on that one, and let us go to our outro. I will pick it up on the other side of the hour.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Mechanical birds above our heads, watching secrets and the streets we tread. Beeping lights and wings of chrome, guiding paths as we roam. In New Jersey skies they hover high, whispers carried by the night.
Welcome to Safety Wars, Hour 2, here on the Rumble platform. And, we're out there. We talked about on Hour 1, we had a very exciting program where we talked about the drones. I'm your host, Jim Posel. And that was a song inspired by the drones. Your Eyes in the Sky by Safety Warrior. And they're also, all this music is royalty free. We hold the licenses and the copyrights on all of this stuff here. So, no fear, Jay Allen at the Great Safety FM when we play these songs. We are in the Christmas season here, and we are talking, what do we talk about here on Safety Wars? So, normally Hour 2 is going to be along the lines of, we talk a little bit more about politics. We talk a little bit more about safety if we want to do a deep dive. The reason how this came about was we were doing deep dives on a lot of stuff, and we were missing a lot of safety news, it'll be the next night's program. So often this Hour 2, we will, for the next night for the Safety FM family on safetyfm.com, we will review a lot of the same stories here with that. Now, okay, let's go here and do a share screen here on from the Department of Labor website. Share a screen. So what do? We have all of these government websites that issue a lot of information out here. And we use them. They're mostly, and when we do share screens, it's usually because of, all but like 3 times we did share screens that were not government websites because they're open source, non-copyrighted, and everything else. Here, we could use it. We could, what's the word I'm looking for? They are open source. They are public record, publicly available. So Department of Labor secures consent judgment prohibiting Massachusetts contractor from retaliating against employees. I don't know why you need a lawsuit for this. You're not allowed to retaliate against people. On November 22nd, last month, the court approved a consent judgment in order to permanently enjoin the company here with that, and its owners from retaliating, taking adverse reaction, or threatening any adverse reaction against any current or former employee because the employee exercises their fair labor standards rights, including speaking with the Department of Labor. The order also forbids the employers from failing to maintain required records of pay and hours, and the order also requires $35,000 in punitive damages. Again, you got to keep track of people's hours, and you also have to go and you have to go and pay them what they're owed. I really can't figure that out. With that, believe it or not, there's people out there that are against that. That was from today. Here we have U.S. Department of Labor covers $125K in back wages and damages from operators of 3 Chicago area restaurants for 53 workers denied overtime. U.S. Department of Labor obtained a consent judgment, and they agreed for a company, and the company agreed to pay a total of $125,000 in overtime back wages and liquidated damages. Again, I have a feeling that they're doing this, doing a lot of this prior to the new administration. They're just issuing stuff, trying to tie up loose ends here. Now, back for a complete disclosure here, back in September, I believe it was, we had a issue here with, let me get this right. We had a issue here, right, with the EPA website with solar panel people, right, apparently installing or maintaining a solar panel on a roof and they appeared not to be tied off. I had contacted the EPA back in like July, maybe. that they should probably remove this from their website. It never happened. I contacted our local congressional representative, Representative Mike Lawler, and said, hey, probably not a good idea that you have that. You may want to follow it up. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, everything was all cleaned up on that. And they said they never had somebody here do that. I said, well, it's such a bad example when you have people on a federal website breaking federal law, and they're using that as a promo photo. Not very good. So here we have the U.S. Department of Labor has cited a solar panel company, a battery storage company, with 2 repeat safety violations after federal investigators found the company exposed workers to deadly fall hazards twice within 3 months. OSHA cited the company for 2 repeat safety violations and proposed $288,000 in penalties. The company has been cited. And I've heard of this company. This is a local company here with that. I don't know if they're a local company, but they do local work here in New Jersey, as attested here with this. I know, I'm from New York, but I do a ton of work in New Jersey. Citation 1, item 1, type of violation, serious. This is a fall protection violation of each employee engaged in residential construction activities 6 feet or more above lower levels and were not protected by guardrail systems, safety net system, or personal fall arrest system, nor were employees provided with an alternative fall protection measure under another provision of paragraph. That one was $126,764 on that. And there is another one here. Right, here at another site, right? They document those as separate things. Here. Hold on, we have... Oh my God, we're getting messages here. I can't believe it. From... apparently, the United States Nuclear Regulatory Commission just released something like today on this whole drone thing. Citation 1, item 1, type of violation, repeat serious. Each employee engaged in residential construction. Again, same thing. So this was on August the 8th, another $161,000. Now, they kind of, right, so this is the first one was on August the 8th, and the first one was April was... Hold on. June. Now, what's the issue here? From what I see, the issue is actually real simple. If you have an OSHA inspection, what are you supposed to do? During that inspection, you're supposed to go around with the person and see what they say is wrong. And then you're if you're smart, I'm not saying they're smart or not, but people do stupid things, including me. As everybody, I will attest to it, and so will my wife. From time to time we do things that don't make sense. You should be communicating that to your workforce. Maybe your workforce had this over and they did not tell their supervisor or boss that they were there. That happened to a New Jersey company where they were on a roof doing stuff on the roof. The boss was on vacation. They didn't tell the boss that OSHA showed up. And then 3 months later, OSHA issues them a letter and it's like, what the bleep is this? Why didn't you guys say anything? Well, we didn't think the guy, we didn't know who the guy was. We didn't want to bother you. He was too nice. I don't know. No. And then, lo and behold, you got all these citations. Now you're running around. And again, this is what happens. And I did a little bit of checking. This is what happens when you buy your OSHA certifications on the street. Right, because I can't prove it, but I'm told that that's what they did. We went out and we bought them on the street, Jimmy. And since I heard it from like a third person. Well, our guys know nothing about OSHA, and I'm like, dude, they intended outreach training. Well, they didn't know anything. They could one in, one ear, and out the other because outreach training is awareness level training. That's why you should be doing a little bit more training there. If you're a business owner, there's really no excuse for the amount of free resources like this one and courses out there that would cover this stuff. Really, 845-269-5772. You can give us a call on this, or jim@safetywars.com. Let's go back to this here. I mean, I don't get it. So there's a good chance that the employer did not know anything about this at all with this. And again, that's on the employer. Why are your employees scared to tell you what's going on and when they're working for you? With that, why didn't they know? So that was $288K in penalties. Let's see what else. Department of Labor welcomes President Biden as newest Hall of Honor inductee. Acting Secretary of Labor Julie Su honored President Joe Biden by announcing his induction to the U.S. Department of Labor's Hall of Honor. During an event establishing former Secretary of Labor Francis Perkins' homestead as a national monument, Acting Secretary Su lauded the nation's leader for his tireless support of U.S. workers and labor unions before bestowing the department's high honor on the president. In more than 50 years of public service, President Biden has remained devoted to improvising the lives of American workers, retirees, and their families by championing pro-union policies that strengthen the middle class and build an economy from the middle out and bottom up. Under his leadership, more than 16 million jobs have been created in America. Threatened pensions have been secured for more than 1.2 million workers, and history will record Joe Biden as the most pro-worker, pro-union president this nation has ever had, said Acting Secretary of Labor Julie Su. Leadership matters, and President Biden demonstrated his commitment to working people daily by taking bold actions and daring to fight the big fights. In the last 4 years, that has meant fighting to increase overtime pay, pushing for a national heat standard, protecting retirees' pensions, and putting more than $1 billion in wages and damages into workers' pockets, to name a few. But no example says more about who President Biden is than the day he walked the picket line with striking auto workers, becoming the first sitting president to ever do so. No one believes in worker power more than this president, which is why I am honored and delighted to honor his work within the walls of the Francis Perkins Building, adding his name to the Department of Labor's Hall of Honor. President Biden joins Francis Perkins and other honors in the Hall of Honor, which recognizes individuals and groups whose distinctive contributions to the field of labor have improved working conditions, wages, and overall quality of life. Working families established in 1988. The Hall of Honor is located in North Plaza of the Department of Labor's national headquarters. Okay, I've never heard of it. Good for him. That's good on that. What else do we have here? Again, all of this stuff in wages. People, with the wages, you gotta keep accurate records. Now, this was the subject of our safety meeting last week at one of my projects that has divers on it. Investigators, this is out of Mans Harbor, North Carolina. A 47-year-old diver suffered fatal injuries during an underwater dive test in June 2024 at the Mans Harbor Bridge in Croton Sound. Investigators of the U.S. Department's Labor's OSHA learned former member dive team employed by a certain company was doing underwater tests on workers' first day of work. Seconds after descending from the boat to about 19 feet in water, the diver became unresponsive. Once the diver failed to answer radio calls, other dive team members responded by removing the diver from the water. Co-workers assisted in getting the employee out of the water, performed CPR while waiting for emergency personnel to arrive. Again, OSHA investigators identified several safety deficiencies at the site, including a failure to assess workers' fitness for diving and ensure first aid supplies and a manual resuscitator were available on site. In addition, the company improperly positioned an air intake to prevent contamination and did not perform regular air purity tests on compressor systems and a air hose pressure annually. Now, this requires a lot of commentary, which is why we are here. on this. Now, Citation 901, the employer shall develop and maintain a safe practices manual, which shall be made available at the dive location. Again, got to have plans ahead of time. Right? There was no safe practices manual. Well, I'm not saying this is what happened here. I'm not familiar with this case. Specifics. What I am saying is, hold on, there's something here. Often, people go and they become a non-commercial diver. They become a recreational diver and then think that they could do commercial diving. No, I've heard horror stories. I worked with many, many divers. Worked with about 50 divers in my career. And all of them have the same thing. When one of these accidents happens, often, not all, I don't know about this one, but often, no training on here. Yeah, nobody knows what the hell's going on. Might have been the case here. I don't know. The employer shall develop and maintain a safe practices manual. Again, $4,800 fine. The alleged violations have been grouped because they involve similar or related hazards that may increase the potential for injuries and illnesses. We don't see that statement here, but Citation 1, Item 2A, serious. First aid kit appropriate for the diving operation and approved by a physician shall be available at the dive location. 1910.421C1. No, not an appropriate one. All right? 8,067. So if you are involved in diving, again, what do you do with that? 29 CFR 1910.421C3. In addition to any other first aid supplies, an American Red Cross Standard First Aid Kit handbook or equivalent and a bag-style manual resuscitator with transparent mask and tubing shall be available at the dive location. Wasn't available. Right? $0 on that one. Citation 1, Item 3. Citation, and this is for serious, 16,131. Dive team assignments and physical fitness of dive team members, including any impairment known to the employee. Again, nothing documented at that point. The employer did not assess, allegedly. That's now. I'm going to say this much, and I don't know how often it occurs now, but I was on a project where everybody was approved by the same doctor. Right? Again, on this, I wasn't a safety professional specifically for this work, and someone got hurt. And this is towards like the last week of the job. And it turns out that he should have never been approved. He was an unfit diver. He had multiple medical issues. And, you know, it's like this. Back in the day, this is before HIPAA. I was like, okay, what medications are you on? Are you willing to share that? And the guy said, yeah. And I was like 9 different medications that the guy was on. I was like, holy crap. You know, wow. And I was like, and my question was at the end of the report was we need a medical fitness thing from this guy. Turns out he had a card that said he was medically fit. They did a little bit of research in the discovery process because there was a lawsuit. And what did they find out? The guy paid off the doctor in all likelihood. Where do you think that lawsuit went? You got to go to court with clean hands, meaning you better be as clean as the white-driven snow, as the snow, right? Gotta be, and you cannot do something illegal like produce false documentation and then sue someone on that. We're gonna go to commercial break right, and I'll.
Jingle bells and mistletoe, silent night and falling snow. But my wish list ain't the same. Listen close to what I claim. Cookies, milk under the tree, carolers singing merrily. But my heart's got one request, keep me safe, it's my quest. Christmas time is some PPE that fits just fine. Wrap it up nice under the pine. Oh, so grateful, it's mine, all mine.
Hey employers, want to avoid hefty OSHA fines? Listen up, OSHA or the Occupational Safety and Health Administration can issue penalties after inspecting your workplace. If they find violations, you'll get notified by certified mail or in person. You have 15 working days to contest it, or the penalty becomes final. How are penalties determined? It depends on your business size, the severity of the violation, your history, and your good faith efforts. Even if you fix the issue right away, you might still get fined. Let's talk numbers. A willful violation can cost between $11,524 and $161,323. Repeated violations hit up to $161,323. Serious violations can reach $16,131. And, other than serious violations, can also cost up to $16,131. If you fail to correct a violation, it's $16,131 per day. Lastly, missing a posting requirement? That's another $16,131. Stay informed, stay compliant, and keep your workplace safe to avoid these costly penalties.
Okay, and we are back here. Okay. So, going on here, we got interruptions. It's the middle of the program here. Again, with this, it was someone got their money exchange hands on the case I was talking about from many, many, many years ago here. Again, OSHA has a list of safety people that are not allowed to do authorized outreach training. Companies, I'm finding out, have their own lists of what doctors they're not going to accept. The alleged violations, citation 1 item 4A, air compressor intakes shall be located away from areas containing exhaust or other contaminants. $11,292. Citation 1 item 4B, no testing for air purity every 6 months. By means of sample, they call it out. Of samples taken at the connection to the distribution system, aka manifold, except that non-oil lubricated compressors need not be tested for oil mist. They did not do any testing on that. Again, relatively easy thing to do. Here, breathing gas supply hoses were not tested annually to at least 1.5 times their worker pressure. Again, no fine on that, but again, not doing. All dive team members shall be trained in CPR and first aid. Right? Again, did not maintain current first aid or CPR things. $0, but guess what? You were corrected during the inspection. I don't know how you could correct that during an inspection. As a inspection took place over a while. I'm in 845-269-5772. We do first aid CPR training here. A list shall be kept at the dive location of telephone or call numbers of the following: hospitals, physicians, transportation, U.S. Coast Guard Rescue Coordinator. Did not do that. The following information shall be recorded and maintained for each diving operation: names, including designated PIC, person in charge, date, time, and location, diving modes used, general nature of work performed, approximate underwater and surface conditions, maximum depth and bottom time for each diver. Total of $40,329. Unfortunately, a man died over this. With this, I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, for our last story here of the night, we are going to do your X out on that. Now, this is some of our stuff. Again, this is not being covered by the mainstream, by the news tonight. I'm sure this is going to hit Twitter and everything else tomorrow, but we're going to be first here. Share the screen. Boom, boom, boom. This is I'm going to remove myself from the stream to make sure we get a nice big picture of this here. Prepared at the direction of Chairman Barry Loudermilk. Right, and this is from the House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight and, right, the interim report on the failures and politicization of the January 6th Select Committee. Now, tomorrow in Talk Radio, you're going to be hearing all about this stuff. I'm going to tell you this is what you should be reading here with this. Here, and here we have, all the front matter here, right? Thank you. Here, with this. All right. This report reveals that there was not just one single cause for what happened at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, but it was a series of intelligence, security, and leadership failures at several levels and numerous entities. Even amid multiple failures, there were two common elements that significantly contributed to the security issues: an excessive amount of political influence on critical decisions and a greater concern over the optics than for protecting life and property. But as with many government scandals, the cover-up of evidence exacerbated our efforts to find the facts here. With that, I can unequivocally say that above all, the work we have accomplished over the past 2 years is going to be a greater sense of accomplishment in going on here, and the American public deserve a government they can trust and be proud of. Americans expect and deserve a government that is small in size, limited in scope, and fully accountable to the people as our founders intended. The actions of some elected officials and certain government bureaucrats in the aftermath of January 6, 2021 are evidence of how we have ventured far away from those principles. And going on with that, signed Barry Loudermilk, Chairman of the Subcommittee and Oversight Committee on the House. So we're going to scroll down here, and there are 6 findings. Finding 1, the acting Secretary of Defense, Christopher Miller, dismissed President Trump's January 3rd, 2021 order to use any and all military assets necessary to ensure safety for the planned demonstrations on January 6th. The Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy, intentionally delayed the D.C. National Guard response to the U.S. Capitol. Although approved by the Secretary of Defense at 3:04 p.m., that's 15:04 hours, Secretary McCarthy delayed and failed to communicate deployment orders to the commanding general of the D.C. National Guard. Finding number 3. Secretary of the Army Ryan McCarthy deliberately deceived congressional leaders by stating that the D.C. National Guard was physically moving to the Capitol with full knowledge of these forces have yet to receive any orders. These false statements contributed to the decisions made by congressional leaders regarding the security response to the Capitol. Finding 4. The Department of Defense Inspector General published a flawed report that contains fabricated information, ignores crucial information, fails to interview key individuals, and appears to have collaborated with the DOD to portray a false narrative. The DOD and DODIG knowingly and inaccurately placed blame on D.C. National Guard leadership for the delayed DOD response, and DODIG was not responsive to the subcommittee's request and at times obstructed the subcommittee's work. The subcommittee has detected an inappropriately close relationship between the DOD Inspector General, blah, 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 and here is everything. With that. Now, there were some other informations here, right? With this, in the introduction, here in some recommendations, hold on, here. They say that that the other committee was flawed in its selection of people there. The politicization of Capitol security directly contributed there, and this is some of the back floored composition of the select committee. In other words, it was seemed to be biased. Replacing the missing ranking member with a pseudo vice chair. The House Resolution 503 required the chairman of the select committee to consult with the ranking minority member. The select committee did not have a ranking minority member with that, so improper. So the House Democrats included an exemption to House Rule 11 in the authorizing of a resolution that created. And the Rule 11 required that the committee rules provide equal time to everybody on the committee, to both sides. there were missing documents here with this. Just FYI, this has been Alex Jones. His complaint was he testified, I believe, with this, and there were missing documents there. With this, missing over 1 terabyte of missing digital data. And they have a letters list. Now, this is probably the most damning thing here. All right. Former Representative Elizabeth Cheney emerged as a principal figure during the Select Committee narrative. All right. Representative, here you go. Hold on. Where is it on here? Representative Cheney's exhausted efforts inside the Select Committee initially struggled to produce a cohesive narrative that could lay the entirety of blame on President Trump. The Select Committee needed a star witness. Through thousands of hours of interviews, the interrogation of hundreds of witnesses, it is noteworthy that the Select Committee chose to focus on the conclusion of its nearly 1,000-page report, largely on uncorroborated and inconsistent testimony of one witness, Cassidy Hutchinson. Sounds like some of the safety reports I hear, right? Accident reports. And on that, Alyssa Farrah Griffin back-channeled with Vice Chair Liz Cheney to help Hutchinson change her story. Hold on, that name sounds familiar. Hold on. Hold on here. Hold our horses here. Alyssa Farrah Griffin. That name sounds familiar. Let's Google her. Oh. Alyssa Farrah Griffin. Here you go. Career. I'm looking on Wikipedia here. She's CNN in 2021 with that. And Griffin became a permanent co-host of the talk show The View for the series' 26th season. Okay, so as they say, don't become part of the story. She became part of the story here. Hutchinson's messages indicate that she and Farrah Griffin colluded to create a false story about why Hutchinson needed to do a third transcribed interview here. And going on here. And it must be emphasized that Representative Cheney would likely have known her communications without knowledge from Hutchinson's attorney were illicit and unethical at the time. Farrah Griffin indicated as much in her previously mentioned message to Hutchinson. Going on and on. Vice Chair Cheney covertly assisted Hutchinson with this. So they were witness tampering, this is called, I believe. I'm not an attorney here with this. So what do we do here? Concentrate on this. Here. More findings here. Representative Cheney and Cassidy attempted to disfire Stephanie Passantino. Cassidy Hutchinson misrepresented President Trump's actions at Lafayette Square Park. False claims by Cassidy Hutchinson, according to the report. And what else? It goes into this. We're going to have to go into this really deep on here. So hold on. Find... all right. And of course, it's not working here with this. So, with this. Again, multiple malfeasance here with this. And again, this is going to be a huge, deep dive if you want to go into this. 128 pages here with this. here. So, what's the outgrowth here? The House committee accuses Liz Cheney of criminal witness tampering. And they issued the Department of Justice to investigate Cheney's communications with Cassidy Hutchinson, former aide to then President Donald Trump, and also Elizabeth Farrah Griffith got involved here. So, well, there's some deep doo-doo here. I don't know, they're in deep doo-doo. You can't witness tamper. So that's what I have for tonight's program. Maybe we'll do another deep dive on all of this later on. I think we're going to need to. So we will see you most likely on Thursday. And that's what we got. Good night, everybody. And we'll go out with our outro and then our patriotic music.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
heavy, they don't lie. Caught in the path of a silent cry. No safety net, no guiding hand. In Huntsville's dust, we make our stand. Stone cold silence fills the air. No turning back from what's unfair. A life cut short by carelessness. We mourn in shadows our distress. Rules were written but paid no mind. Federal standards left behind. One life gone, a mournful sound. Under the weight of stone unbound. Stone cold silence fills the air. No turning back from what's unfair. A life cut short by carelessness. We mourn in shadows our distress. Concrete jungle, steel and strife. We count the cost of every life. In names of profit, souls are spent. Safety breaks that never bend. Huntsville, echoes still remain. A family's heart now scarred with pain. What did we gain? What did we lose? In stone cold silence, we must choose. Stone.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.